Okay, wow, that is one incendiary video title. And just to throw gasoline on the fire, I need to qualify that I've never actually seen Birth of a Nation. But for my money, pound for pound, The Blind Side is the most racist movie I can possibly imagine. Let me tell you a story. Or, more accurately, let me tell you the same story but from two different perspectives. Michael Jerome Orr was born in Memphis, Tennessee into a life that he had almost no chance of thriving in. As one of 12 children born to a mother fighting perpetual battles with addiction, Michael's formative years were spent bouncing between foster care, staying with relatives, staying with random people, and living on the streets. While in high school, he played multiple sports, and on the advice of an auto mechanic named Tony Henderson, whose couch he was sleeping on, he applied to Blair Crest Christian School, a private academy that would be a considerably better environment than his current one. He was accepted thanks to both his size and the influence of their football coach, Hugh Freeze. He played there and in 2003 won Lineman of the Year honors and was first team All-State. A major scouting website ranked Michael the number 5 offensive lineman prospect in the entire country. Then, and the key word is then, prior to the 2004 season, Michael went to live with Sean and Leanne Tuohy, whose son went to the same school. At this point, Michael was still bouncing around between foster homes and the streets. But after Sean met Michael in the school's basketball gym and learned that he sometimes sleeps there, he brought him home and eventually Michael came to live with them. The family helped provide him some stability and work with him to improve his schooling so he could bring up his GPA enough to attend college. And despite receiving offers from several big-name college football programs, including Alabama, Michael chose to attend the University of Mississippi where, purely by coincidence, Sean Tuohy was an alum and booster. From there, most of you know the rest of the story. Michael excelled at Ole Miss, twice earning first-team All-SEC honors, was a unanimous All-American, and earned a degree in criminal justice. By the time the 2009 NFL Draft rolled around, Orr was already a household name due to the book The Blind Side, The Evolution of a Game, which was released in 2006, alongside excerpts of his story being published in the New York Times Magazine. Michael was selected in the first round of the NFL Draft by the Baltimore Ravens and went on to have a decent career in the league that included a Super Bowl victory in 2010. But as is the case with many men of his size, his time in the league was one of recurring injuries resulting in declining ability. Okay, that's the story. We'll come back to it in a little bit, but now I want to tell you a different story. In 2009, Warner Brothers released The Blind Side, a movie about Michael Orr's life. In the movie, Michael is seen bouncing between foster homes, but it's because he keeps running away to be with his drug addict mother. His friend's dad helps him enroll at the football academy where he befriends the son of the Tuohys. One day, that friend's mother, Sandra Bullock, finds Michael out in the cold and she brings him home. Eventually, Michael comes to live with them despite the objections of her friends and even her husband.
It's a big deal, it's just for one night. It is just for one night, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you know, her husband Sean, the guy that in the true version of the story was the one that brought Michael home. But in the movie, he questions it, but Sandra Bullock isn't having any of that because she's a sassy southern woman with a heart of gold. She also learns that... Are you fucking serious? She learns that although Michael did poorly on his career aptitude test, he ranked in the 98th percentile in protective instincts. That's seriously what happens. You guys remember that, right? Like, you remember when you went to high school and you got tested for fucking horoscopes, personality tests? Okay, so just like in real life, the Tuohys helped Michael bring up his grades, only it's not to go to college, but so he can start playing football. Remember when I said Michael was the 5th-ranked offensive lineman nationally when they met? Forget all that. Because it turns out that Sandra Bullock had to teach Michael how to play football. In fact, she had to teach him how it even worked. See, he's so soft that he doesn't want to be violent. But Sandra Bullock explains to him that it's okay because he has to protect the quarterback. And then he understands because he tested so highly in that made-up personality horoscope test. Then she walks away all sassy-like while dunking on Coach Hugh Freeze, who, by the way, was just named the head football coach at Auburn. So he doesn't know shit about football compared to Sandra Bullock. Later, Michael chooses the University of Mississippi, and there's an investigation because both of the Tuohys went there, and that seems a little suspect. But for some reason, they turn this into Michael questioning why Sandra Bullock was doing all of this for him in the first place, and whether any of it was even real. But then he has this moment where he says, I chose Ole Miss because my family went there. And then the NCAA, who is known for being reasonable and totally cool with investigating stuff, they're just like, okay. And that's the film's version of the story of Sandra Bullock. The story in which a real person rose from a situation of desperation and hopelessness because Sandra Bullock is just that perfect of a person. Can you imagine what it must be like to do something so unbelievable and great that a major motion picture was being made of your life story, only for them to make something that is obviously designed to give all of the credit to someone else? And you could say this about Sean Tuohy as well. You know, the guy who actually brought Michael home to live with the family. There's certainly a case to be made that not only being a former athlete at Ole Miss, but also a booster, casts some doubt onto his motivations. But he did still do the very thing the movie is celebrating. But the movie instead chooses to show him as not being very supportive of it. But for Michael, the movie portrays him as being entirely incapable of anything without Sandra Bullock showing him first. Everything he ever accomplished was explicitly because of her. The movie effectively erases all of his accomplishments in becoming a highly recruited football player before they had met. So all of the grueling work and training he put in didn't happen. You see, Michael is just a big dumb simpleton who is amazed by things like a bed. Every year, athletes across multiple sports realize their dream of becoming a professional athlete, and oftentimes those stories involve the highly unlikely journey to overcome places of extreme poverty, crime, and desperation. The story of Michael Oher includes the added wrinkle of kindness from complete strangers, but the movie version of this story effectively takes all of the accolades for this, all of the agency, and hands them to somebody else. This movie wasn't made for people like Michael Oher, or even people who want to be uplifted or inspired by what he overcame. It was made for people like Sandra Bullock's character. So it should come as no surprise that when award season came around, the only person being recognized was Sandra Bullock. But Michael Oher's story didn't end when the film faded to black. He would later make explicitly clear his own version of the story, saying, quote, "Football is what got me here, and the movie, it wasn't me." On watching Sandra Bullock's character show him how to play football, he would say, quote, "I watched those scenes thinking, no, that's not me at all. I've been studying, really studying the game since I was a kid." I fucking hate this movie.